Hey, my name's David.
My name's Kaiya, and we're the creators of You Are Art, where we demystify the life of an artist through real and honest conversations between creatives.
We hope to explore and inspire a more authentic definition of art while learning from each other along the way.
Let's jump right in. Hey guys, welcome back. As promised, we have another very special guest for our third episode. And that is someone very dear to me. And I'm going to say something, it's a big call, but one of my favorite people in the Melbourne music scene. And his name is Peter, also known as Iconic Beats. Welcome.
Thank you
so much for being here. Thank you. I'm going to let you tell us what you do, just in the name of authenticity.
Yep. So I'm like a producer and mix engineer. That's like, so I do kind of best of both worlds. So like production, mixing, bit of mastering.
Do you want to let the people know what mixing and mastering is in a nutshell?
Yeah. So mixing and mastering. Mixing is basically just getting raw audio files that are recorded on a microphone or played through an instrument and recorded. And then so adding special effects to make those sound clean and professional and ready for release.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how else to dumb it down. But
no, that was a great
great
explanation. And then mastering?
So mastering is, so once the song has been mixed and edited, mastering is the final like icing on the cake. So it's like getting the song really loud for streaming platforms, radio. Yeah, it's like that final touch.
Mastering has always confused me. I mean, as a musician now, I know what mastering is, but I don't really know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people get confused. A lot of people are like, yeah, can you master my song and then send me like all the stems? And it's like, I think you mean mixing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a common misconception, but it happens,
In my mind, mastering is making sure that, this is the simplest terms I can put it, is making sure it's not like clipping or sounding bad if people, no matter what volume they have it at.
Yeah, definitely. It's just that final, loudness check. So it's like making sure it's at a good level where it competes with everything else that's out, but also it's not too loud where it distorts, or it's not too quiet where people can't hear it when at full volume. Yeah, it's pretty much mastering.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a nutshell.
Yeah, oh yeah. So I want to come back to why you are one of my favorite people in the music scene. And I want to talk about that a bit because you have been one of the kindest, purest, most respectful artists I've worked with.
Thank you.
So far, and I really appreciate that about you. And it's not like you lack in quality of work to be that person. And I think there's a misconception in the industry that you need to kind of have an ego or you need to be a certain way to get the respect you deserve. And I want to know why you didn't do that. Why haven't you become that, I don't know, character?
That's a good question. That's a really good question.
Take your time.
I think I honestly don't, like, I just always think that there's always room to grow, and like I'm never satisfied with like where I'm at. So I don't know if that plays a part in like the way I act or however, but yeah, I'm just always, I'd like to stay humble no matter like how popular or how this or how that I get, like just like to remain like level-headed, popular, like whenever I do feel like I'm getting a bit egotistic or however, I just like to bring myself down and like remind myself of like my roots and just like the person that I am.
That's beautiful. And why do you do that?
It's
because you know you could
so,
gas yourself up.
I know, definitely, and that's the thing. Like, I'm a confident person in what I can do with the music and just as a person in general. But I don't like to be egotistic, and the why is because I don't like seeing other people like that. Like, I'd rather people, no matter how big you are or small, like, treat everyone the same. Like, treat everyone how you want to be treated. Like, and I've always just lived by that.
Totally. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I do want to say for everyone at home, sorry, David's just...
I was just wondering what that noise was, that's all.
David's behind the camera, by the way, everyone. Have you seen that YouTube video of the earthquake, the news anchor? And he's like, there's an earthquake.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one.
That's what it reminded me of.
Sorry, you're going to say.
No, that's so fine. I wanted to say for everyone at home, I don't have anything against the ego. I think the ego is actually a pretty integral part of our existence as human beings. It keeps us safe. I think it's when we identify with our egos and we use that as a means to navigate in the creative scene that it can be toxic. Because you need to have confidence in yourself and you need to somewhat know yourself as a producer and as an engineer.
Yep.
But it's that I am the best or I only work with blah, that it starts to get a little hazy.
Yeah, I see some people like around me, let's just say, that do like bring the ego forward a lot. And it's like in novel conversation, and it's just a bit, I don't know, like gives me the ick. Like
totally.
I really don't mess with that. Like I love people, like no matter how good you are, how like popular you are or whatever, like I love everyone just to be like level-headed and just be like, to own it, like to own it, be confident, but like don't project it so much where it's like I'm above you. Yeah, because then people will look at you differently and they'll be like, oh, such and such is like this, and yeah,
and you don't get seen for who you truly are. You get seen for that projection of ego. And I think the projecting of your ego really comes from a pretty hurt place. Like it comes from our trauma. And anytime that I've noticed myself getting egotistical, it's because I'm in fight or flight. And I'm like, I need to prove myself. I need to show these people that I'm about business. So I think it takes a certain amount of like self-awareness to be able to turn up humbly and check yourself like that. So do you have any kind of practices to keep yourself humble or look after your mental health?
To be honest, not really. Like I wouldn't really call it a practice, but I'm just big on balance. Like, and I say this to everyone, like it's taken me a long time to figure out, but with what I do especially, it's like you can fall down like this dark hole because like you're isolated a lot. If you're just in your studio and you're in your room, like you're isolated a lot, so you can fall down that hole. But I think the main thing for me and what I found is to just be have balance, to just have like a sort of balance, and that has worked a lot for me. So it's like have a healthy work-life balance, socialize, see people, like have a hobby on the side that keeps you like entertained, so to speak. Yeah, just that like healthy balance.
How do you go about that? Can you give us a bit of pointers on how to stay balanced?
I mean, it's just making, like for me, it's making time for like friends, making time for my partner, family. Yeah, because in the past I have just been very isolated where it's just music. And looking back on it, like I'm grateful for that. Like I never regret anything. I'm grateful because that like taught me a lot about the music, and like it got me to a level that I'm like happy about. But there was a time where I was very like, isolated. And then, so now I've shifted and it's like, I'm in a much like happier place. And I think it's because of that balance. It's like, I catch up with friends. I like see my partner, like, it's just, there's more of a life balance.
Yeah.
And I think, us creatives, like we fall into that trap of like work. And it's like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. And it's not to say don't work hard, but it's to say like chill out as well. Like take some time to just go have a coffee with a friend. Like,
absolutely.
It's just,
absolutely.
That's like what I think anyway.
Yeah. And then that comes into being your own boss and setting your own hours. Because for me, I really struggled with any free time I had, I would make music, which is great, but it's also, that's going to drive you insane in the end. Because, and I was talking about this yesterday as well, where it's like making music for me is enjoyable. So differentiating work and enjoyment, like not writing a song to release it, but just writing it for joy. Yeah, it's a hard balance.
Yeah, definitely.
I wanted to ask you brought up your partner.
Yep.
And I think that's a really important thing to explore as a creative, having a long-term relationship going as well as kind of having your career.
Yep.
And David, shout outs, also in a long-term relationship.
Yep.
I'm single. But honestly, that's really foreign to me because I was in a very long-term relationship just before my career launch. So I don't actually know what it's like to have a creative career and a relationship. How do you balance that?
Well, first of all, I think it's a must to have someone that supports you like 100%.
Yeah.
And like, I'm grateful I have that. And it's like, yeah, you just need someone that like understands that, and this is like a cliche, but this isn't normal. Like what we do isn't like kind of a normal job, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it's like, they need to be on board with what you do, and they need to understand like that there's no set hours. It's not like I'm working from this time to that time. After that, we can hang out. It's like, I might have to do this at this hour, and like, yeah, they have to like make that compromise and understand. And I think, yeah, for me, it's meant everything, because like you just get that support and it helps you like push through.
That's really beautiful.
No, I definitely agree with that support aspect. Like, I'm pretty lucky as well. Like the fact that my partner supported me from like day one.
Yeah.
It's so true, because the line of work that we do, we're always kind of breaking new grounds in terms of like finding a balance, finding that schedule, and to have someone that actually can help not only support that but also work with that too.
Yep.
It's pretty hard to find, to be honest.
Nah, you're right.
And it's hard to navigate too, because there's going to be stressful days. There's going to be moments where you both feel like shit.
Yeah.
You know, and you both want to like do sometimes your own thing or spend time together, and then you have to like kind of try to shift and prioritize like what's the most important and when and where.
Yep.
So it's a continuous struggle, but it's something that does get better over time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
I'm just saying it's a big thing having like a partner that like supports you and understands. It's just like, I feel like it's very crucial, because us as like creatives, and I could be wrong, but this could just be my personal experience. It's like, you don't get a lot of people around you that fully support what you do. So it's like you constantly feel like you got to prove yourself to the people that are closest to you. So it's like, to have someone there that like does support, it definitely does help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely does.
And I want to talk about that a bit with you, because we've had conversations about this, about family and kind of their image of what they wanted for you, and just knowing like, I'm a producer, I'm a songwriter, I'm a singer. Did you want to share a bit about that and how you had to prove yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's a constant thing that's like, because it's so different and it's looked at as like, it's not a normal job.
Yeah.
They want that stability for us, but it's like, yeah, there's just this constant battle of like, you have to prove yourself to them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's, for me anyway, it wasn't until like a small accomplishment would happen that I'd get like the people closest to me, like I'd get their support.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it took me like 5 years of doing it, and then just this one like achievement, and then you're like, oh, now I'll like support, and like, so yeah, there is that.
And are those short-lived, that support? Is it until the next big thing?
I think so.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not to throw shade or anything. I think that's just how it is. Like,
yeah.
And yeah, I'm very, like we were talking about before, I'm very grateful. Like, I've got my partner that just supports me like all the time.
Yeah. And I think we're both lucky. I mean, from what I've seen of your family, which is not a lot, but it seems like you have a beautiful family.
Thank you.
And I want to shout out to my family. Like, I love my family.
Yeah. Likewise.
Yeah. But it is what it is what you're saying. Like, I think the pressure that they put on us comes from a place of love, and comes from a place of, when I'm gone, I want to know you're okay.
Yep.
And I think for me personally, the hardest part has been proving that I will be okay, because I'm doing what I love.
Yep.
And if anything, I'm almost happier to be starving for a minute and be doing what I love, believing that it's going to come back to me, than hustling in the way that they envision me to hustle.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because it's, me, like, I'm a huge believer on like happiness, and like do what makes you happy. And like, so I think I'm definitely with you on that mindset.
Yeah.
Because it's like, even though, and they like, all the big people say it, they're like, it's the journey. Like, be present with the journey. Like, don't just always chase that final, like, oh, I made it.
Yeah.
It's like, be content with the journey, because when you make it, it's like, you're going to look back and be like, wow,
yeah,
this is what I did. This is what I went through.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, like you said, like, you'd rather struggle like now and be happy than the other way around.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really big reason why I try my best to keep my ego in check throughout the journey, because I want to look back and see the friends I've made along the way, see the connections I've made along the way, as opposed to when I've noticed my ego getting ramped up, like the people that you can step on, the people that you betray in the name of making it, you know? So yeah, that's another little reason I like to keep my ego in check. I wanted to talk about your studio.
Yep.
Because that shit still blows my mind.
Yeah.
The fact that you built I'm going to let you tell us what it is.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to take all the credit and say I built it. It was definitely me, my dad, my brothers, and my friends. So there was a few people involved in the creation of it. But basically what it was is my parents coming to me one day and they're like, hey, we want to use your current studio, which was my old studio. We want to use your current studio as a spare bedroom for like our grandfather, because he might like stay over here and there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
The classic grandfather stay over.
And then they're like, how about we get you a shipping container and then
it was their idea.
Well, it was, pretty much. Like, it was pretty much my dad's. Well, I seen a video on it and then I like said to them, and then they like actually came with the proposition and be like, how about we do this?
Wow.
And then I'm like, actually, yeah, let's do it. And then, it took us like 9 months to build, to get it working. And we did that during the first lockdown. And now it's just, we've made little additions and now it's full-blown small studio.
So cool. I love that space. It feels such a safe space to create.
Thank you.
And I want to talk to you about that, because you must have invested a lot of time and money into that. Yeah. And did you ever at any point be like, oh shit, like what if this isn't what I want to do? Or did you just always know? I think
like I always knew, but one of the biggest shifts for me was because I had like a side job with my father. And when he came to me one day and he's like, hey, I'm stopping this. Like, you're going to have to try like find a job. It wasn't until that moment that I'm like, okay, I got to like do something and like make it actually legit and like try to survive off this and make it a business. And then, I reached out to a few friends that I know. I got a friend, shout out Alex, A2K. I got Alex to help me with like pricing, like my price list, and he helped me see my self-worth. I got my girlfriend to help me with like my PDF. So there was a few people involved, but it wasn't until that moment that it was like, all right, I got to go 100% into this. And it wasn't until I did that things slowly started like falling into place.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, didn't fall into place like straight away, but things started to happen and I got out of my comfort zone. I started, doing like a lot of sessions and it just slowly fell into place.
Yeah. Did you feel that initial kind of gap where you spent all that money, you invested all that time? Did you feel that initial risk factor?
Not really.
Wow.
Not really. I mean, and I don't know why, but I didn't really feel it.
You knew?
Like, I think I just knew. Like, I just believed in myself so much and the people I was working with. Yeah. That's
incredible. Because I feel like with most artists, you hear that they took a leap, they took a jump, and they fell for a second before they had to drop to the ground to kick off.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I didn't really feel that. No, there's always that little bit of doubt that happens here and there as you're going, but there wasn't necessarily a period of time where I was like, shit, like I just put all this money into this.
Yeah.
Is it gonna work?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really have that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Take notes. I still feel that.
Yeah?
Yeah, because even just investing in new equipment and stuff, I think for me, it comes from my parents and my family. That doubt will come in, and I'm like, wait, this isn't even my voice. Like, I need a new mic. I need a new interface. So believing in yourself is really important.
Definitely. Definitely. Because as you know, like, you don't have a lot of people that believe in you.
No.
Like, and when I say believe in you, I mean like wholeheartedly believe in you.
Not
so
waiting
like,
for this to end a phase.
Yeah, no, like believe in you. Like, so you've just got to be that person to just always, believe in yourself.
Yes.
It's important.
Just in case my parents are watching or listening, let's define believing in you and believing in you, because believing in you is like, yeah, I'll come to your gigs and I'll support and I really appreciate that. But believing in you is like, you can already see me where I see me. And I think you feel that with your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. She sees where.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it's not even, it's not even like that, like vision, so to speak, for me. It's just that understanding and the care factor and like that support.
Yeah. Because
it's like, for me, it's like that means everything. Like, I know where I want to get to. It, like, for me, it's just the support that means everything. Like hey, what did you do? Hey, let me hear that song that you're working on. Or, hey, this and that. Like, it's all those things, that interest that really show me that, okay, you do believe in me and like support.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. And
Mm.
you could maybe disagree with me, but I feel like most creatives, especially musicians, because I can only really speak on behalf of us.
Yep.
We have the ability to just hermit, especially if you can do everything. If you can record yourself, if you can produce, if you can mix and you can engineer, it's almost like, why would I outsource anything? And I've personally realized the importance of sharing my work with people I care about. Like, even you just listening to my single before this just felt so supportive, because it's like, wow, you care enough to listen to my music and give a shit, and that means so much. So thank you.
No worries.
Thank you.
No worries.
And just people at home, like, never underestimate the power of just listening to someone's demo when they show you, not talking over it, not pausing it halfway and being like, yeah, that was good. Don't even listen to it if that's the energy you're going to bring, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And I think for me, a big thing that I see is like people, and this is going back to the ego thing, and I see it a lot. It's like some people, they believe that they are much like further ahead than some other artist, so to speak.
Yeah.
And they won't give that artist the time of day to like work together. Yeah. And to me, I think that is the wrong mentality, because it's like, then that means you're only going to be like limited to you because you believe you're way further than everyone else. But it's like, you need to, especially for like someone that's starting off or like trying to kick their career off the ground, I think you need to work with just everyone. Totally. Just have your hand with like so many different people, because then not only is that going to make everyone, like, your name is going to be in everyone's mouth for like conversation, but it's like, you get your name out there more. And I think that's something that I see a lot that I wish wasn't the case.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. In yoga, we call it beginner's mind.
Okay.
We call it, I didn't invent yoga. In class, it's called beginner's mind.
Okay.
And you want to kind of turn up to class as if you've never done downward dog before. Because if you're like, I know downward dog, I've done it my whole life, you miss the opportunity to do it in a different way. You miss the opportunity. So instead of coming in and saying, I've practiced yoga for 10 years, come in and say, I've never done this before. Please teach me how to do it. I think those artists go the furthest as well, creatives, because I don't know, I've had some people come to me that have like 100 followers and it's like the best bass player I've ever heard.
And you're like, what?
Yeah.
And
it sucks that it's like, oh, you've only got 100 followers. Like, no, we won't work with you. Missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Actually listen to the art, listen to the person.
Definitely. And I think, like you were saying, it's the people that have the most willingness to like learn new things. In my opinion, they're the people that grow. Because it's like and you can take this how you like, but I've seen there's certain people that, like, let's just say started around the same time that I had started.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can look back and think as to why, like, I believe I'm a little bit like further along with my journey is because I've had that eagerness to learn new things, and I've taken my ego out of it. No matter what I've accomplished, I just always learning, like trying to learn new things. Like, I'll go into a session with a producer and, like, doesn't matter established or not, like, I still, yes, I like to be in control because that's just who I am, but I also take time to just observe and, like, learn things. And as one of my teachers said at uni, he's like, you want to add things to your tool belt. So it's like, you always pretend you have a tool belt on you, and it's like, you meet this person, like, you learn something from that, you take it and you put it to your tool belt, and you you carry that around wherever you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I've, like, always done that. And I think with music, I've always done that.
Yeah.
And it definitely helps.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think your energy is, I always get the word humility. Like, you're just very humble about what you do.
Thank you.
And what you just said reminded me of something my dad told me years ago when he was running a little cafe. I remember there was a rude ass customer. And my dad's a pocket rocket. Like, he will flip his nut if he needs to, you know? But he was so calm. Actually, no, my dad got mad.
Okay.
And then mum came in and she reminded him that to run a business, you need to think of every customer as a returning customer. So if you're not kind to that person, they're not going to come back. You've lost future sales and you've lost their whole community.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important reason why we need to take our egos out of it. And that shouldn't be your core reason. The core reason should be to fucking treat people with respect. That shouldn't even be a question. But if you're going to look at it from a business mind, being unkind to people is it's bad for business.
It is. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. And I think that's why for you, it's coming from a very authentic and genuine place that you have grown to the degree that you've grown, because you're humble, you're willing to learn, you're willing to give people the time of day. Like, we didn't even know each other when I first came to the studio, and that was my second single.
That was dope.
That was
an
so
experience
fun.
that we can't talk about. That was that was crazy. Yeah,
so the way that we know each other is through my second single, which you can check out everywhere. Maybe YouTube will be the best place. We'll link it up if you're watching on YouTube. Otherwise, on Spotify, it's Don't Hold Back Kaiya. So you produced that, you mixed it, and you mastered it.
Yep. And we recorded it.
And we recorded it. Yeah. Recorded my vocals. That was so much fun.
Yes, I agree. I loved working on that song.
That was so fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've told you this, but before that session, I just had like a bit of a breakup.
Yeah.
Have I told you that?
I think you did. And like, we were both nervous going to the session because it's like, we don't know each other. So it's like jumping in and like trying to create art. It's a bit much.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. But I think the thing that was good is like we said at the start of the session, like there's no expectations. It's just, let's just create. And I think, in my personal opinion, I think that's why we were able to create like what we created.
Agreed.
Because we were just so chill about it. And yeah.
I think that's it. Like, and I don't know. I'm just speaking from my own experience. Maybe sometimes you got to bring the ego, especially for those like rap hard tracks. I don't know, but I feel like the reason we created so well is because we put our most authentic foot forward. Yeah. And it was just like, this is who I am. I'm not trying to pretend I'm anything else than what I am. Yeah. This is the kind of music I make. This is the kind of music I make. Let's get it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And like you said, how you were just saying, I don't know if it's like rap and you need to bring the ego in. I think there's a difference. And I think it needs to be like, you need to bring confidence. Like more than anything, you need to bring confidence. You just need to be confident in your ability and what you can do. And that will shine through the music, because music is just all about feeling. And if you're not even confident in what you're delivering, people can feel it. Yeah. Like they can feel it. Like I hear some songs and I'm like, melodies are cool. This and that is cool. The lyrics cool. But it doesn't captivate me because the feeling isn't there. And it's like, it just goes back to that. Like they mustn't be confident with like what they're delivering. And I think, that's a big thing.
Yeah, you really helped me with that actually, because I feel like I've spoken every episode about this, David. I'm going to bring it up again.
Add it again. Just make it a running topic.
Theme.
Imposter syndrome is a big theme for me with my music, because I was a trained dancer, but I always sung for the joy. And because I'm a singer now, in my mind, it's like, I've had no training, blah, 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 blah. And as I do it more, I'm getting better. But I remember when we were recording, you stopped it and you were like, okay, one more time, but with feeling.
Yeah.
And I remember that just dropped me in the moment. I was like, wait, what am I singing about? Like, I was like singing about never letting a guy into my life again. And I was like, yeah.
It happens. It
Yeah,
happens.
because of confidence, lack of confidence and self-belief.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll sing this, but I won't sing it to the largest degree, because then I won't be judged. I can just say I wasn't trying anyway, which is like, you got to put yourself out there. You got to take risks and
Definitely
be open to criticism.
Yeah, that actually kind of reminds me of when we filmed Introspect.
Yeah.
And the difference between, because that was like your first time being like filmed on camera and performing, and seeing the difference between that and like, even though the one we did here for Don't Hold Back was
crazy that I just put in.
Thanks, man. Although that was a bit smaller scale, like the performance you put out and the difference between it, like it really is that confidence.
Thank you.
And like, yeah, even going back to Introspect, I remember how it was kind of like, oh, I don't know, like this might be a bit awkward. It's like, just do you. And then when you just did you, it's like you came through, like through the video, and you can see that. It doesn't feel like it's a performance. It's like, this is you.
Thank you, David.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I think it's a really good point that you hit on, like confidence. Like that is a huge one.
It is definitely, especially with the arts and like the creative side. Like,
Yeah.
You got to be confident.
Yeah.
Because even like sometimes, I do believe in that like fake it till you make it kind of thing. And in the sense of like, if you were to go into a recording session with, let's just say, a great, you're not going to act like, you don't want to go to that like being a bit like nervous and like a bit in your shell. You want to act confident, and you want to act like you've been doing this and you're confident in your ability, because it will like, what's the word I'm trying to say? It will convert into the music.
Yes.
And like convert into what you're doing. Like it will really show. So I definitely believe, it's like that aspect.
The way I like to think about fake it till you make it is like you're your own self hype man.
Yeah.
Or hype woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go get a girl.
Yeah. That is a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
And I think I want to give you guys credit as well, because I have shot with other videographers and photographers, and I have worked with other producers and engineers. And I think it says a lot about you guys as well as me, how much confidence of mine you've seen, because you've created such a safe environment for me to express the truest essence of myself. I've definitely been in sessions where I don't want to expand. I don't want to speak. I don't want to say the wrong thing. And I've been in shoots where I don't want to be my dopey ass self. Like, so I appreciate that about you guys. And I guess I'd love for you to share with people how you create that safe environment for artists.
Yeah. I think for me, it's got a lot to do with like expectations and just having like not having a lot of expectations to do like good, so to speak. Like just be you and like trust in your thing. And that's what I try to tell the artists. Like I make them feel like very comfortable, and it's because I know when an artist is comfortable and like they're just being their normal self, like that's when like the magic happens, and like when you're free to create whatever you want to create. You don't feel boxed into like, oh, I have to sing it like this or I have to do it like this to try to be like that and get that sound. It's like, just do you, and like if you get it wrong, we'll just do it again. Like, and there's I think as to why I like create that, like I'm not sure. Like it's just how I am. Yeah, it's just natural how I am. But I think that's my reasoning.
And it's not something you can fake. I feel, I've been in sessions where it's like, this feels like I should be comfortable, but I'm not comfortable. And I think because it's more like, let's make this track and let's make this bank, as opposed to let's nurture you and make you feel good to create.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going into money, I wanted to talk to you a bit about the financial aspects of the creative world because it can be messy.
Yeah.
It can, I had something recently where the producer and I didn't discuss terms before. And so then I spoke to their manager and they gave me a fee, and then that wasn't the fee the producer said, and nothing's in writing. Yep. You do business very well, and it helps to get creative comfortably. There's no blurred lines.
Thank you.
How do you do that? Share with the people.
Well, I'd like to shout out my girlfriend because she definitely plays a big role in that, and that whole transition from me having that self-worth to really believe in myself. But yeah, I think I'm still nowhere where I want to be, but it's just being genuine. And I think one of the main things that needs to be done is before any kind of work commences, there just needs to either be, I would say, like an agreement, but if not, like a written, at least something verbally that's like we're on the same page. Even if it's like the artist knows my pricing, that could be as good as it is. But I definitely think, it's better to have stuff in writing before anything like commences. Like if I was to work with an artist, like it's just good to have some sort of agreement, and you do that first. And I know it's a bit, but if like, let's just say you're reaching out to someone, it's good that you clear that air first.
Yes.
Clear that. Because then once you clear that, it's like, you're not going to have those thoughts in your head where it's like, oh, could this cost me this much? Could this be this much? We did this, we stayed back an extra this. Like, you know what's like, what the fee is. And it's like, you just keep that under wraps now that you know, and you just create.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important, because then if that stuff doesn't happen, then it gets messy on the back end. And it just becomes a whole like, we just made this amazing thing, but now there's like a little disagreement, and now it like taints your vision of that person or vice versa. And it's like, I think things definitely need to be spoken about.
Yes.
Prior.
Yeah.
And I know like the whole written stuff is a bit messy and uncomfortable, but in my opinion, I'd rather have an uncomfortable conversation at the start when we work, rather than creating an amazing piece of art and then having that at the end to taint whatever we just created.
Agreed.
I think that is like the main thing. And then look, worst comes to worst, if there isn't something up front, like an agreement or whatever, on the back end, at least there needs to be that the decency to just be like, okay, you know what? We put in all this work, and like for there to be an understanding on both ends, for it not to just be one-sided, for there to be an understanding like, yeah, you know what? We did do this work, or actually we didn't like spend that much time on it, so it shouldn't be this much. Like if there's that conversation of like understanding, that is like super important, because then it won't kill the friendship, so to speak, that you just created, because you do build friendships with music. But I can ramble, but
no, I think it's really valuable, everything you're saying, because you do build friendships and relationships with people, and in 1 second it can all be destroyed because of money. And it's funny because what you're saying is valid, that like contracts and stuff can be annoying and messy, but and I was speaking to your girlfriend. Can we say her name? Is that?
Yes.
Are you sure? Okay, shout out to Pam. She posed a really good point, and she said the more that contracts and things like this are taboo and not meant to be, the more big egos get away with charging you things that, you know, don't make sense. Because that's normal in the music industry, or that's normal in the creative industry.
It is. And it shouldn't be like that.
No.
It should not be like that. But
no. It's disrespectful. It really is.
It is.
To
That's
each
what
other.
it comes down to.
Yeah, because it's like, if we want to work together, then we got to respect each other's time, that we both get paid, things like that. So let's break the taboo of sending contracts. And even when David and I started this podcast, now I'm like, we actually didn't put that into writing.
I know we do have actually like some documents about it. So
we do.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
We're probably
before we started this, and shout out to Kurt, David's
our business partner, yeah. The
Mind
other half
Society.
of Mind Society.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just to ground, like, okay, what role do you want to play in this project? And because, like, David and I we're friends, creative friends.
Yeah.
So we just get carried away. We're just like, we just want to play, create. But imagine, touch wood, knee deep into this podcast and this project, I or David turns around and says, I feel like I've been doing all this work and I want more from you. Unless anything's in writing, you can't say, well, actually, I've been showing up and I've been doing what we agreed upon.
Definitely.
So, yeah, even with friends, I think it's really important if you're starting creative projects to define roles.
So, is there something you want to tell me?
David, I'm unhappy.
David, it's over.
Middle of the podcast.
No, like, I really appreciated that. And we were kind of uncomfortable, but we also weren't, in the sense that it was respectful. And again, we keep coming back to that's the theme of this episode. There was no ego involved.
Yeah, I think like just bouncing off what Peter said as well about it's almost like building that trust beforehand and that communication. And I think we had plenty of like sessions and times to do that. So even going in without like anything written down, we're just like, I got your back, you got my back.
Yeah.
So even if like shit hits the wall, it's like what's most important isn't the actual thing we're doing, it's each other.
Exactly.
And I think like even with Kurt, like that's the relationship we built as well, because we're actually polar opposite people.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, it's like we might disagree on some things, or like some things might not go certain ways, but it's how we sort of navigate that. And at the end of the day, we're there for each other, not the work. Like yeah.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Very good point. And I think it touches on like being transparent and like upfront, because I do believe like relationships within like the people that you create music with is super important, because that allows you to have a safe space, feel confident and all that, but it also allows you to trust the other person and like trust that they have your right intentions like at heart. And I think being transparent at the start of like you working is just super important. Like saying, this is like, this is what I'm going to bring to the table. This is what like I expect from you. And just having that open conversation. It's actually like a relationship.
It is.
Like it's a relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important.
Yeah.
Because then everyone's on the same page. And you can just forget about feeling a bit, what's going on? Like, I don't know. Clearly, And it's easier said than done. I know. Way easier said than done. But super important.
Super important. And it's going to guarantee you more clients, like, honestly, because I say clients because it could be any creative business that you're running. But for me, I've worked well with some producers and engineers and recording engineers as well, but I haven't gone back to them because it was so hard to work on the back ends. I was like, oh yeah, well, you stayed half an hour more, so blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you told me to stay half an hour more. You know, so things like that aren't in writing, that are messy. I don't care how good you are. I don't want to be in that environment again. I don't want to be scared to send you a contract. I don't want to feel inappropriate for standing up for myself. And those kind of work environments are super, for me personally, really toxic.
That's fair enough. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
that's why I think it's so important to put these things into writing.
Definitely.
I wish we could like put your price list up, because I think it's such a good like I don't know, template for people to go off.
Thank you. For me it was just creating that. It's just seeing other people's price lists. So it's like other people like having a look at theirs and just seeing what they're doing, and not necessarily for the price, but just the whole like template and like layout.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's that thing of like picking the things that I think, and I'll just implement it and then change it to how I feel.
Yeah.
And then, it just like falls into place. But a big person that really helped me with that, and I'm grateful, is, like I said, Alex. He's a fellow producer, A2K. He's so dope. He works with Zuhair, Melbourne artist.
Shout outs.
Shout outs.
To the local scene.
But yeah, like he really helped me like believe in my pricing, and he's like, yeah, it just really meant a lot to me.
That's
He
beautiful.
took the time out to just really break it down with me and help me and be like, if I would tell him, I reckon for this service, this price. And he would be hard and he'd be like, actually, no, I don't think you should because I think you're worth more than that. And he helped me like see that self-worth. And yeah, that was super important for me. I'm grateful for that. Yeah.
I want to shout out your partner, Pam, because
Yeah.
I feel like she's really doing that for me right now, and keeping me in check.
Yeah.
Like really pointing out where I'm lowballing myself.
Yep.
And it really changes how you present yourself in the creative scene and just as a artist, you know, it's like I'm worth this much and I'm going to bring that level of work.
Definitely.
You know? Because sometimes when I'm underpaid or undercut, it's really hard for me to put my all in, not because I'm not getting paid enough, but because I'm not being respected. And I think being respected as an artist gives us the confidence to be there in the room. I feel like I'm like going on a ramble now.
That's okay.
But Kanye really inspires me in that sense.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that he was like in a room with Jay-Z and
Yeah.
all them, and he wasn't really even established, and he just got up on the table and was like, I'm the greatest of all time. I'm the greatest rapper of all time. I think having that level of confidence is a real achievement. And people could argue that it's egotistical. But I think where ego comes into play is when it hurts other people. When it's confidence,
Yeah.
I'm the greatest rapper of all time. That doesn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think, and this is just touching on that. It's like if anyone has seen the documentary that's out about Kanye, it's like
There's a doco out?
yeah, there is,
What's
and
it
it's like I think it's a 3-part series.
Oh, hell
It's
yeah.
called like Genius with like a J. Yeah. Anyway, and you actually see in that you begin to see why he is and why he was the way he was or is.
Yeah.
It's because he's like his mother would like tell him all the time like you're great or you're this, you're that. And it's like that small like support and belief in him drilled it into him. Like he already knew that, but like to get that from like someone that's so close to him, you can just imagine like how much, and it makes sense as to why he was like that. He was able to just come out in a room full of like established like the greats and just say I'm the like greatest. Like
Yeah.
that just shows like comes back to that support and belief that us
Absolutely.
artists and producers that like we need.
Yes.
We need definitely.
Yeah. And I think it's important to note that he then lost that person. You know, she died, and the darkness that he then chose to explore, I think, is really powerful too, to have the confidence now, not in that high yay energy, but like I'm hurting and I'm grieving. Another level of confidence to turn up authentically as you are, no matter what emotion. That comes back to our session, the Don't Hold Back session.
Yeah.
I went in there wanting to write something fun and flirty, and I was like, I'm heartbroken. I can't flirt right now. I can't be fun.
Oh, it's broken.
It's broken. So that's the power of being authentic and putting your ego aside.
Definitely.
Before I wrap this up, David, is there anything you want to add?
No, I'm just listening in. It's fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
in that case, I wanted to ask you, we kind of end our episodes like this. What's been your favorite piece of art this week or recently? It's music, movie, visuals, anything.
Honestly, that Kanye documentary,
Where can
little
I
series.
watch that?
It's on Netflix.
What?
Yeah, it came out maybe a week ago
Okay.
or like 6 days, like a couple days ago. Yeah, I'd have to say that.
Wow.
Because that was super inspiring, motivating. Like after I watched that, I haven't produced, and I'm not gonna lie, in like quite a while, and that's just because I've been so busy with mixing and doing all other stuff that haven't been into the whole production thing. After I watched that, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna do like why I like started this, like because I loved producing. It was fun, so I just got back on my comp and just started like producing, like not having any expectations. I just got on and I started producing, and yeah, it was so refreshing and like re-motivating for me. And I love when things are like that, because it's like And I was having every time I take time off a certain skill, let's say, I have a bit of like self-doubt, like, oh, can I still do this? Yeah, can I still do that? Like, I've done this, can I do that even better? But yeah, watching that documentary, it just made me feel like, and it reignited that flame. Like, yeah, I love this. Like, I started it because it was fun and I loved doing it. So just went back to it for fun.
Wow.
Yeah, and it just reignited this spark in me.
Wow.
Yeah, so that has to be like my favorite piece of art this week.
That's beautiful. I'm probably going to watch that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Are you going to watch it, David?
Yeah, I'll watch it.
There's like 3 parts. I just watched the first one, so I'm super keen to see. He's like releasing one a week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm super keen to see the second one.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, how many episodes?
3.
3.
Yeah, and they're like an hour and a bit long.
Yeah. Oh, are they releasing more episodes or is it just?
I don't know. I think it's just 3, but they've only put out 1 now, and they're releasing it like each week.
Okay,
Like yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you going to get the stem player?
I don't know.
I'm
I don't
kind of
know.
keen. I'm
I've seen
dabbling in
it.
the idea.
I've seen it. I think it's cool. First of all, I don't know how much it is.
It's $200 US.
Wait, what is this?
It's like a new device he's created that makes producing, like you can just produce in your hand with a couple of buttons.
Okay.
Watch the video because I was watching someone use it. I was like, whoa, this is actually revolutionary.
Stem player.
Stem player is what
Stem
it's called,
player.
yeah.
Okay.
For the people that don't know, like a stem and stems with music is like an individual audio file. So like if you have drums, bass, guitar, that individual like kick drum, snare drum, bass track, like that's a stem.
Yeah. Have you watched the video of him?
No, I haven't.
I'll send it to you because I was like, oh, I could actually get around this.
Oh, cool.
But I've noticed this about your work ethic. You are so meticulous and particular. It's almost like you enjoy that aspect of producing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You hear it in your work. It's so
Thank you.
on.
Thank you. I do see myself as like a perfectionist. And sometimes it does kill my creativity, I'm not gonna lie. But I wouldn't want to be any other way. Yeah. Because like the part where it does kill my creativity is when I'm producing and then I get stuck on a certain part because I'm like, this isn't right. And I'm like, how do I make this right?
Yeah.
And then I'm stuck in that cycle.
Oh man, I can relate. Because like we talked about before, we're like, we're talking about like our different processes and creating and stuff. And I was just saying how when it came to say writing a script, for example, I've trained myself and practiced to try and do like a quick draft first. But there are just times where I get stuck on like, it could be one line and I'm just stuck there just rewriting that thing over and over again. And I'll be like, okay. And I come back to I'm like, that's fucking shit.
Yes. And the thing where I say it kills creativity is because you do get caught up in that little moment and then you've lost that motivation, inspiration to create.
Yes.
It's just like you kind of, especially if you get lost in that little thing, if you can't work it out, you just kind of feel a bit down. Yeah.
It's so strange. Like one of my traits with perfectionism is I'll make a track and I'll love it. I think it's the best track I've ever made. And then an hour later, I listen to it again and I hate it.
Oh,
I scrap it.
Yeah.
That is just a lot of us creatives. That's just normal. I feel like that's normal.
There's so much stuff I film where I'm just like, damn, I got this shot. That's me. And then I'll watch it again later. I'm like, why did I shoot this?
I don't think there's a way to avoid that. Like even, I think we all suffer from that.
Yeah, a good way to get out of your head, or of my head personally, is I try to send it to people straight away.
Okay.
And just say, what do you think of this?
Oh, yeah.
So that way in an hour when they respond and say, that's dope, or nah, that's not it, it's nice to be like, oh yeah, like it was dope. Because I feel like it's my perfectionism more than anything that is telling me it's not good enough.
Yep.
Because in the hour that I've been away from the track, I've realized that I can do better, which is always going to be true.
Yep.
So it's nice to have that objective thumbs up.
Yeah, and I think without rambling too much, that is something that's important. Something that's important with that is selecting the people that you show.
Yes.
Because in my personal opinion, I'm not going to go get mixed feedback from someone that doesn't necessarily know mixing. And it's like production. I'm not going to get someone for production feedback that doesn't know production. So I think it's super important to get people that you trust and you believe in to give you feedback.
Yeah.
Because, I think that's the most important. Because, I think it's the most beneficial for you.
Agreed.
To just get that feedback from another artist that you respect and you love what they do. I think it's super important.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was honestly recently for me, my go-to people to send music to was just the people I trust, like my good friends, my cousin, shout out AJ, I love you. I would always send it to her. Yeah. And the feedback they gave me was always so valuable, but I didn't realize how much more valuable it is from an artist. And it's just been recently where I've been sending my music to people who are making music as well, that their feedback is so like, nah, like I just showed you a mix and you were like, this frequency is off. Yeah. There's no way that my cousin or a friend of mine who doesn't make music can find that. Yes,
and I've had this conversation with someone else, and it's like, you got to know what, like, you got to set that expectation of like, all right, I'm sending it to this person, and they could just be like a listener of music. So I'm going to expect like a general feedback from them. Yeah. Like, I love the song, or no, I don't really like the song. And then you got to expect when you're sending it to an artist, like, hey, that lyric, or hey, this kind of run or whatever, like that really broken down. You need to know what you're like getting back from them. You got to know that in your head.
Well, I just realized that I was meant to wrap up the episode.
I was going to say, I know.
But our conversation's so natural.
We just ramble and ramble.
Did you want to give us your socials? Plug yourself in.
Yes, Instagram. I mainly run off Instagram. It's official Iconic Beats with an underscore at the end.
Spotify.
Spotify. You can look up Iconic Beats, and it just has all my work that I've worked on. But I'm mainly on Instagram, so that's kind of where you can find me.
Yeah, and if you wanted to find our track together, it's "Don't Hold Back" by Kaiya on Spotify, YouTube, literally everywhere. And leave us a comment on YouTube because that's also David's music video. Let us know you found it from the podcast.
Just realized like a whole collaboration right here.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's really cool.
That is awesome.
My socials are at the Supreme Kaiya, and David, take it away.
Mine is Dimension, mainly on IG. Dimension, Shin at the end, SHIN. And also Mind Study Studios.
Shout out. So that was our wonderful episode with Iconic Beats.
Thank you for having me.
Peter. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We'll see you in next week's episode with a brand new guest. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you deeply. Bye.